As ex-governor Ikpeazu and his gang fret over Abia's forensic audit and missing airport. Okay, this is really going to be interesting. Abia State Governor Dr. Alex Oti, OFR, shone, glowed, and dazzled like a diamond last Friday, April 19, 2024, as he basked in the spotlight of international lecture stage at the Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies in the United States of America. Taking the podium inside a hallowed J.H.U. Bloomberg Center on Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., Governor Oti engaged in audience in his intriguing lecture where he spoke on state governance and economic transition, meeting the challenges. The Johns Hopkins lecture was one of a series of activities lined up in the governor's schedule while on a trip put together by some prominent Nigerians and citizens of Abia State in the U.S. diaspora. Among those in the audience were Professor Pat Utomi, Professor Kingsley Mogalu, Professor James Steinberg, Professor Peter Lewis, Dr. Eme Okoro, Councillor of Bowe, Maryland, Roxy Ndembomadu, the Mayor of Isi Alamgwa Southern Abia State, Mr. Wambisi Elelenta Elele, Bishop Sunday Onoha, among others. Even though Governor Oti had forewarned his audience, especially those from outside of Nigeria, not to expect something new from his paper, as according to him, the world was already familiar with the story of Nigeria. The governor, however, left his audience in utter bewilderment shortly into his speech when revealed the odd findings of an audit firm he had engaged to look into the finances of a state shortly after he assumed office. He said, and I quote, "It is a difficult thing to admit, but a lot of leaders who get involved in politics and contest election go there for reasons other than serving the people." Talking about corruption, I had set up a forensic audit as soon as I took over office in Abia last year, 2023, so that there will not be any argument. I called in one of the top 3 audit firms in the world, and not so long ago, they turned in their report, and some of the things in their report are frightening. So some 9.3 billion naira was paid to 7 contractors for contracts that were not executed at all up till today. Another 15.9 billion naira, almost approximately 16 billion naira, was paid to 63 contractors with no supporting documents anywhere in the state. Another 12 billion naira was paid to 2 contractors for contracts that do not exist. Out of this figure, 10 billion naira was on September 25th, 2020, paid to a contractor for the construction of the Abia State Airport. We have spent time trying to locate the airport and up until now have not been able to locate it. So we continue to look for our airport. We have also told the security agencies to help us search. When you juxtapose that with persons that are lying unpaid for about 10 years and the salary arrears, just one of these headings, the 10 billion naira that was spent to build a non-existent airport was exactly the amount of money our government used to take off pension arrears. So lack of accountability, as we know, enables the mindless stealing of the resources from the people, impoverishes the populace, promotes incompetence, and damages trust in public institutions. If any evidence is needed to buttress this claim, the fact that several states in the country struggle to pay salaries and pensions is all the proof one needs that the absence of accountability in the management of public resources does great harm to the people. Expectedly, Governor Oti's shocking disclosure immediately dominated the media space. An unofficial video clip extracted from the governor's presentation soon hit social media platforms and it went viral. Even though the governor was careful not to personalize the issues as he merely gave a glimpse into the audit report. The immediate past governor of the state, Ikpeazu, and his group on their own assumed culpability. Perhaps they say the guilty is afraid. Ikpeazu and his gang characteristically unleashed their venom at Governor Oti. The former governor, who had engaged in a shadow fight against his successor since leaving office and after failing to install his puppet, deployed his loquacious aides to hurl insults and abuses at Governor Oti for daring to do his job credibly. He failed to address the issues other than shouting himself hoarse. This has been the ex-governor's surreptitious way of trying not to rewrite his history. to write his story of abysmal performance in governance, a story that is thrown up in sharp and unmistakable contrast to the widely acclaimed extraordinary gains of his successor in barely 10 months on the same seat. We saw the same brilliant behavior of Ikpeazu during the launch of the geometric power plant in Abia about 2 months ago, where again, while still hiding in the shadows of his miners, he slyly sought to take credit for the geometric project. To put the issue in paper context, the geometric power project laid comatose for 20 years, even though the plant had been completed since 2014, barely a year before Ikpeazu assumed office in controversial circumstances. Needing only the exercise of true statesmanship to resolve its governance issues and the acuity in financial matters to navigate the commercial negotiations, including the supply of gas through its already laid 27-kilometer pipeline, Ikpeazu failed to realize the geometric dream. Rather, he stood helpless at its rear between the plant and the fulfillment of its objective of providing reliable electricity supply to the people of Abia, the commercial capital of Abia. Fast forward to February 26, 2024, 9 months after Governor Oti assumed office as the chief executive of Abia State, Nigerians woke up to the real possibility of uninterruptible power supply with the launch of the geometric power. The Abia governor had a history with the power project, a baby of Professor Bat Anaji, Nigeria's former Minister of Power. He came into the financing of the project while he was executive director at the First Bank of Nigeria in 2010 and 2011. He moved to then Diamond Bank PLC as chief executive officer, and things took a totally different dimension for the better. By the time Dr. Eti left Diamond Bank in 2014, the power project had a free gas power turbines installed and 27-kilometer gas pipeline laid and ready to receive gas. Yet, Ikpeazu was governor for 8 years between 2015 and 2023, and the power plant remained comatose. Several other instances around where the former governor and his gang had tried to undermine the incumbent. Governor Oti, who has worked so hard to restore the dignity of the Abia citizen by clearing the huge mess his predecessor left behind, the latest being payment of astounding pension liabilities, where the present government spent close to 10 billion naira. Of course, there were the sorry cases of non-payment of civil servants and other public workers' salaries, poor environmental sanitation, dilapidated road, health and educational infrastructure, and the elephant in the room, insecurity. Ikpeazu and his gang may have seen the handwriting on the wall as the day of reckoning appears fast approaching, so it is understandable when they fret and go into intermittent panic, which they mask as playing the opposition, but with the weight of the allegation of financial malfeasance against the previous People Democratic Party government in Abia, unearthed by the forensic audit ordered by Governor Oti. It can only be a matter of time before the long arm of the law corrodes the guilty, who rather than serve the people that entrusted governance to them, chose instead to enrich themselves at the expense of the lives of pensioners, workers, the poor, aged, vulnerable, and the children of Abia State. This article is very beautiful. Alright, on this note, we have come to the end of the news. We say thank you for tuning in to listen, and till I come your way next time, enjoy the rest of your day.